first discussing it with my publisher and my editor last April when the idea came up. I mean, of course, by then we were into the lockdown, the economy was collapsing, the stock market had just dropped 30%. They said, Jim, we want a book on this. There'll be a huge, lot of interest in it. You know the economy, markets, capital market, you're just the guy to do it. And I said, thank you. And we got going on that. And they said, but, keep away from the pandemic and the epidemiology because you're not a doctor. And I said, no. I said, that's like asking me to write about property damage in New Orleans in 2005 and not mention Hurricane Katrina. I said, you cannot understand the economy. You cannot dive into the new Great Depression without looking at the pandemic and what caused it. So they agreed that made sense. No, I'm not a doctor, but I said kind of jokingly, well, I did go to Johns Hopkins, so I'm not intimidated by natural science. And I was able to read over 100 peer-reviewed academic papers on the immunology, the epidemiology, and the virology. That doesn't make me a doctor, but the science was very accessible. When I started, I thought to myself, well, there's going to be a whole bunch of conspiracy theories and fringe theories and everything over here, and there's going to be good science over here. So all I need to do is keep away from this and focus on the science. The first part was easy. You can discard the fringe theories, but when I got into the science, what I discovered is that the scientists don't agree with each other. And that's a much bigger challenge because, you hear certain politicians, and it's a shame the way this has all been politicized. That's really unfortunate. But politicians will say, believe the scientists. Well, anyone who says that doesn't know anything about science. I mean, scientists argue with each other all the time. They debate, they challenge each other's assumptions. New research comes along, and the science as such evolves, but it's never settled. The sun revolves around the earth. It took, even when Copernicus said that wasn't true, that the earth revolves around the sun, it took Kepler and Tycho Brahe and others 100 years to change the consensus. So even bad science, and there's a lot of it around, doesn't change overnight. So that's exactly the issue I was confronting.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now let's continue.
I can show you PhD peer-reviewed articles that say, you have to wear a mask. You're a fool if you go out without a mask. It's the only way we're going to stop the disease, etc. I can show you other PhDs who say, no, masks don't work. If you understand the virus particle, the virus itself is smaller than the weave in the mask. Masks are not well constructed. People don't wear them correctly. They're mostly for show. So take your pick. I lean a little bit to, I wear a mask. I'm not going to fight with the greeter at Walmart if he says you got to wear a mask. I'll put a mask on, but I think we are right to be skeptical that they do very much good at all. Washing your hands helps. Social distancing helps. But so I spent several chapters on that, including the origin of the virus and the effect of the lockdown. But the lockdown was the segue into the economy because the evidence is very clear that lockdowns don't work. I know that may not be a popular view, but that's been true. The scientific consensus around that has been true for a long time. Lockdowns are what politicians do when they don't know what else to do. This guy, Fauci, I don't know a lot of time for him. He's an over-the-hill bureaucrat. You know the old saying, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're an immunologist, everything looks like a lockdown. But the fact is lockdowns don't work. If you have an island someplace and you can only get there by boat and you close it off and nobody can come and nobody can
then a lockdown works.
That'll work. But try the United States of America, North America, Europe with 300 million people or 400 million people in the case of Europe. It simply doesn't work. It's one of the reasons I like writing books. I think books are the last thing that are not being censored. You're right. YouTube will take it down. Twitter will take it down. Facebook will take it down. I applaud my publisher. My publisher may have other authors who disagree, and they'll publish them also. And that's the way it should be. But imagine you were in the Soviet Union in the 1960s. It was, but they survived. They had samizdat, which were the kind of handwritten manuscripts, and they would secretly copy them on a Xerox machine and pass them around in envelopes at cafes or whatever. Boris Pasternak got Dr. Zhivago out and turned it into a pretty good movie. So, but you have to fight back. And I agree with you. The censorship is oppressive. It's not scientific based. It has nothing to do with civil liberties or the First Amendment. It's just Silicon Valley trying to control the dialogue. And, when they ban somebody and it's kind of high profile, of course, you've shut down one voice. But that's not the worst part of it. The worst part of it is millions of other people who are intimidated. It's like, oh, gee, I better say the right thing, or I better not speak up. Yeah. And by the way, in China, they're doing that. They have concentration camps in China, real ones. They're not, and they're removing organs from political dissidents without anesthetic, and then cremating the body. So where have we seen that before? So, but we're not that far from China. I agree that we're heading in the wrong direction. As far as what went on in Washington, it's interesting. I absolutely unconditionally condemn the violence. I don't think there's a place for violence, property damage, et cetera. But having said that, the behavior, just as an analyst, leaving aside the politics, that is very much the kind of behavior to be expected as a result of the lockdown. And I would say the same thing about the riots last summer. A lot of people are condemning the attack on Capitol Hill, and they should. I don't disagree with that. But they were pretty silent all summer when people were burning down Kenosha, Portland, Seattle, parts of New York, Brooklyn, et cetera. If you're going to be against violence, be against all of violence, not just the ones you agree with or disagree with.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.